in the governor's race. So far, our campaign has spent $2.71 per vote. Javier Becerra, $12.31 per vote. That is 4.5 times as much as us. Matt Mahan, $175.50 per vote. 65 times as much as we spent. Guess who's top of the league table for spending per vote? It's our friend Tom Steyer. $201 per vote so far. 74 times as much as we spent. So there you have it. Democrats are spending at least 4 times as much to get the same results as our campaign, and in their worst case, 74 times as much to get the same result. It's an indication that when I'm elected governor, we are going to be frugal and careful with public money so we can cut the bloat in our government and reduce everybody's taxes. Speaking of which, I have a couple of announcements today about this campaign. Change is coming to California, and the campaign for change starts today. We are not taking a break. The situation in California is too urgent for that. We are in an emergency in this state. We have to get taxes down. The best way to put more money in people's pockets is for the government to take less. That's the simplest and most direct way we can reduce the cost of living and tackle the affordability crisis. But it's an economic emergency in many other respects as well. We have, of course, the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate in America. Businesses are leaving. We have to take urgent action to stop that. We have to have change so that we once again become a state where people are moving to, not fleeing, where businesses are starting and investing. And so we can't take a break. The situation is too urgent. The campaign for change starts right now. We're going to be meeting later today with many others in the Republican Party, many other candidates for statewide office, party leadership. I'm going to be leading a united team to bring change to California, to cut your costs, to help your business, to fix our schools. That's the mission, to put our state back on track. And that work starts today. I've got one more announcement to make. One of the policies that I've been running on in this campaign, which has received the most positive feedback, is of course my plan to make your first $100,000 tax-free. Lots of positive feedback on that policy, including from Katie Porter, one of the other candidates in the governor's race, who adopted it as her tax policy. But one of the things that many people have said to us is that actually, given how high the costs are in California, the highest housing costs in the country, highest gas prices, highest grocery bills, electric bills, more than double the national average, that actually that $100,000 level for no state income tax is perhaps too low. And so I can announce today that we are beginning a policy process to cost the affordability of raising that level so we can lift more people, more working families out of state income tax. So I'll have an announcement as soon as that process is completed, but our goal is to act quickly and immediately to take less money out of people's pockets so they can afford to live in California. So that's the process that begins today. We'll be working with economists to make sure that we've got a plan that is solid and deliverable to lift even more people out of state income tax than the 100,000 level that I've already announced in this campaign. So those are the two announcements. The campaign starts today. We're working as a team. This is going to be a united Republican Party to bring change to California. Change is coming. And we've announced that we're going to do even more to help working families in California and small businesses afford the cost of living. That's the most direct thing we can do. So I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time with you in these next few months as we get to know each other even better. As I say, nothing final yet. We're going to wait for the final results. But so far, so good. We're very excited to have received the support of so many people in our state And I can tell you now, we're going to fight for you, we're going to fight for change, and we won't let you down. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions?
Have you heard from President Trump since the latest results?
I haven't spoken to him, but I did receive a message of congratulations, including from many other people, as you can imagine.
I hear what you're saying as far as not declaring victory yet. Is there a number your campaign is looking at that would trigger you making that declaration, or are you going to wait for the certification process?
I think we have a process in this country where races are called, and that's the moment when I think we can confidently say that we'll be in the top 2.
You mentioned the final results aren't in yet, but you are hosting a rally tonight at 6 p.m. What makes you confident you'll end up in the top 2?
Well, I think that the numbers are looking very solid now. We've just arrived on a flight from Orange County, so I haven't seen the latest percentage of the vote that's in. But I think most people believe now that it's very hard to see a situation where either of the two the two other Democrats who are in contention for those spots both overtake the votes that we've received.
Polling last night, have you heard from Chad Bianco?
I haven't. As I've said all along, I'm really looking forward to working with everyone to bring change to California, Republicans and beyond the Republican Party. I think I mentioned last night, Matt Mahan and I see things very much the same way in policy terms. That's an example of someone I think that really should join our alliance for change, because we've got to have common sense, practical policies to make life better in California. Chad Bianco, anyone else who wants to join our mission for change, my door's open. Looking forward to working together.
Steve, I think Democrats are excited at the possibility that you do get into the top 2 given the endorsement that President Donald Trump gave you and his unpopularity in the state. How would you respond to that?
I understand that Democrats, after 16 years of total control of everything in California, all the statewide offices, both chambers in this legislature, every big city, every big county, the state Supreme Court with a 6-1 Democrat majority, they've gotten used to power. I think they've got a little bit arrogant, and they assume that they're going to be in power forever, and they assume that this is now a foregone conclusion. I understand that. I think they're in for a big shock, because the people of California are not happy with the way things are going in this state. You can see that from every single survey that's been done. A majority of Californians think that the state is going in the wrong direction. And so we will be in the top 2 as the only campaign offering a new direction for California. And so when people say, how are you going to win in California as a Republican, my question is, how will a Democrat win based on the record that they are putting before the people and offering no change at all? We're offering change, which is what a majority of Californians want.
But the Californians have shown that that generally Californians, the president's approval rating is really low in the state. How do you square that?
Well, we're putting forward plans to make life better for Californians. It's not a presidential election. It's not a federal election. It's the election for who's going to lead our state and who's going to lead us in the direction that Californians want. It's not about who's in the White House. It's about who's going to be in the governor's behind the governor's desk here in California.
You have his endorsement. You're not worried that that'll impact you in November?
As I've said, I think it's going to be very helpful for Californians to have a governor who has a good working relationship with the president and his team. And I would say that regardless of who the president was and which political party they represent, I think it's the responsibility of the governor of a state to try and work constructively with the federal government to get good results. Now, it happens to be that we see eye to eye on many of the issues that are going to help Californians in a very practical way. For example, my target of $3 gas, how are we going to get there? A big part of it is to stop the insanity of importing oil from halfway around the world when we have abundant oil reserves right here in California. We need to open up oil and gas production here in California. The federal government wants to do that, but Gavin Newsom and his team are fighting that. That's going to end when I'm governor, so we can lower gas prices. Finding the fraud that's in our healthcare budgets and other parts of spending, that's something that the Vice President's fraud task force is very focused on. At the moment, that's being resisted by the people in charge here in California. I want to save that kind of spending so we can cut out the waste and reduce spending and taxes for people. So I think all of these are examples where actually we're going to see a really concrete benefit to Californians and in a very direct way of having someone as governor who has a good relationship with the president.
What was your campaign strategy for success?
To offer people hope that things can get better in California, that we don't have to live like this. We don't have to put up with this. We don't have to have the highest housing costs in the country. We don't have to have the highest gas prices in the country. We don't have to have the highest taxes in the country for the worst results. These are all choices. These are choices made by the people in charge. We're going to go in a different direction. And so the campaign that we've run so far is going to be very much the same as the campaign you're going to see in the next few months, obviously with more detail on many of the policy areas. There's already a lot of detail in the plans that I've published over the last year or so, but it's the same point, which is we've got to cut your costs, help your business, fix our schools. That's what I've been campaigning on for the last year. It will be the same for the next few months.
You're acting like this is the first option that Californians have had to go in a different direction, but Californians have had the option to vote for a Republican on the November ballot pretty much every gubernatorial election for the past 2-3 decades. What do you think the party has done wrong all those past times to not win?
I can't speak for what has gone before. I think what I'd say in response to that is that it's 16 years now, and I think perhaps a kind way of putting it is that the people of California have really been generous in giving the Democratic Party the opportunity to show that their ideas work. 16 years is a long time to show that their ideas work. The Californian people have been very patient, and they've given them every chance. But I think the patience is running out, honestly. That's why something is happening in California that I don't think people appreciate, particularly on the East Coast when they're looking at our politics and thinking this is such a Democrat state, Republican can't win. You hear that the whole time. I don't think they appreciate just how frustrated people are about what's been going on all around us. We were just speaking to a restaurant owner right over there on the brink of giving up and shutting down because it's just too much. The crime, the chaos, the costs. I think it's got to a point where people really are determined to get the change that perhaps they've been hoping for all these years from the Democrats, hasn't been delivered by the Democrats. That's why I'm very confident that we'll not only prevail in this primary, but actually the most important point is that we can win in November and start to bring about the change that Californians want.
Mr. Hilton, Pete Wilson, we have not had a Republican governor since Pete Wilson. And that is largely because of his anti-English, his English-only, anti-immigrant initiatives that he put on, divided the state, and the Republican Party has lost registered voters ever since. Could you address how, since President Trump's initiatives towards immigrants are so like Mr. Wilson's, how will you change those voters to get them that you need if you want to win?
Well, of course, I think we can all remember a Republican governor since Pete Wilson, another immigrant, actually, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I think that's the point that I would make. I am an immigrant. I'm a proud American. My parents were immigrants to England. They were refugees from communism in Hungary. I deeply understand how powerful that sense is of an immigrant family, a working class immigrant family in a new country trying to make their way, climb the ladder of opportunity. That's my story. And I want that opportunity for every legal immigrant in California. As I've often said, I am the candidate of the legal immigrant community for the legal immigrant community. I want those people who've come to California in search of a better life and who did it the right way and who did it legally to have that shot, whether that's the simple version of the California dream, a good job where you make enough to raise your family in a home of your own, in a safe neighborhood with a good school so your kids can have a better life, or whether it's a dream that involves inventing some new technology that changes the world, or producing some art that changes our culture, or a fantastic restaurant that feeds a community and is part of the heart and soul of that community. Whatever your dream is, this needs to be the place where you can pursue it better than anywhere else in the world. That's what I want for every single individual, every family that is here, immigrants who are legally here, every Californian. So I think that it's going to be a very positive story that every Californian will be able to understand and see that I'm really on the side of that aspiration that California should offer better than anywhere else in the world.
Why is going to be the key just to try
California.
Running their campaigns in opposition to Trump rather than the person against them in a race. And I'm curious how much you're going to position your campaign to run against, say, Javier Becerra, who is the second of the latest polls, or versus Gavin Newsom, whose political orbit is surrounded Becerra's campaign.
Well, I understand that the Democrats have nothing to say except to recite the words Trump and MAGA endlessly. They can't defend their record. After 16 years of trying to show that their ideas work, we've ended up with the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living in the country, ranked 50th out of 50 for opportunity by US News and World Report, Chief Executive Magazine ranking California 50th out of 50 on business climate, on and on almost every measure that matters. We're the worst performing state in America. So of course the Democrats can't defend that record. It's literally indefensible. And they have nothing new to say. They have no plans for change. You saw Javier Becerra the other day when he was asked on CNN, is there anything that he would do differently in terms of the policies that have brought us to this point in California? He couldn't think of anything. He said, well, actually, it can't be that bad because more people are going to Disneyland. That's not a serious answer, and it doesn't meet the desire and the demand of Californians for change. So here's how I see the election. They can talk about Trump and MAGA all they like. I'm fighting not against them. I'm not fighting against anyone. I'm fighting for Californians, especially working Californians, working families and small businesses, and Latino small businesses and working families who've been hurt the most by 16 years of one-party rule.
Mr. Hilton, what is your position on public safety? The other day, the state senators approved 5 commissioners on the Board of Parole hearings to not exactly, let out, certain individuals, but people with serious sex crimes. One of the individuals, 355 years for some unpleasant acts with a child. What's your thoughts on public safety and those type of laws that we have here in California?
I think it's an abdication of responsibility for Gavin Newsom to say that there's nothing that he can do about it. There's the same story every time we hear one of these incidents, one of these outrageous situations where these really evil criminals are let out early because of laws that were passed here, bringing the age limit down to 50 as if that's old. And every single time, what you hear from Gavin Newsom is, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. It's the parole board, it's independent. That is literally not true. Every single member of that board serves at the discretion of the governor. The governor can fire them, and I will fire anyone who doesn't put victims' rights first and public safety first. That is a firm commitment that I've made before, and happy to restate it today.
Last question.
Well, as I think I answered the question a couple of different ways, but I'd make the same point, which is that it's about what this means for Californians. That's what the whole election is about. It's about people's lives, people who are really struggling. I've been on the road now just over a year. We've done hundreds of events, many, many thousands of people, and I've seen it in their eyes. Every time you take a picture, you hug someone and you hear their story, and you just feel the struggle. It's so hard to live in California. It's so hard to run a small business in California. It shouldn't be such a struggle. That's what this is about. That's the whole point of this election and the choice that Californians are going to be able to make to go in a new direction. And so, to me, it's about what does that endorsement mean for the practical things we can get to lower gas prices, to cut out wasteful spending so we can cut taxes, put more money in people's pockets, to manage our forests better so we can reduce wildfire risk. All of these things and many, many more. It's all about that. Practical benefits to Californians. The entire campaign is about that. And as I said at the beginning, we're not taking a break at all. Not 1 minute. We barely slept, but we're here because it's urgent. It's urgent that we take this state in a new direction. People want change. Change is coming, and the campaign for change starts today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Steve, do you expect to be locked out of the race? Like, is that off the table?